What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again with another video. As soon as I start talking, he gets up and is ready to just be in the video, but only this time. But just thought that was funny. Anyway, we're talking about Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo there. So I played it through emulation. I have this, but I didn't really want to like do that. I'm starting to think this collection kind of sucks now, to be honest. I mean, I got it for $8, so it's not a big deal or whatever, but like forced aspect ratios and stuff, and like black and white on the one game, even though like there's clearly the Super Nintendo, Super Game Boy emulation thing. I don't know, like it's not maybe optimal. Of course, I have most of the games anyway. I just don't have Kirby Superstar and Kirby Dream Land 3 because those are kind of more expensive games. I had opportunities to buy Dreamland 3, and if I really like that game, maybe I'll track it down eventually here. You know, always looking. Not always. I haven't looked for new games in a long time, but you know, there may be certain games like that that'll like pique my interest, and I'll be like, oh, maybe I need a physical edition of these. Maybe not. I don't know. You know, trying to downsize a little bit or whatever, but like most of my collection I want to keep. But it's like anything like recently. So I have a copy. And this is not related to Kirby at all, but I have a copy of these two games, the Guy game and Stubbs the Zombie there. Now, me and my friend, actually, I found this this one here in the wild. If you don't know, this is kind of like a short print sort of situation. They had to recall the game or whatever. So this is big meme on the All Gen Gamers podcast for a long time there, the Guy game. This is like the opposite of Kirby. You know, like Kirby is super family friendly. It's like, it's so cute and adorable. There's nothing like sinister about it or anything. Like, not that this is sinister, but it's like, you know, it's like, this is like, you know, adult whatever. So yeah, there you go. Didn't spec that on the thing. But anyway, I want to get rid of this because this and these are both worth like $80, these games. So now's the time. I mean, this one is like more, I don't know that I want to get rid of it because it's like there's this whole thing with me and my friend John, and we were like trying to track it down for like forever. It was this big meme between us, and then we finally found it in the wild. It was like this big moment. It was really awesome. And we bought it, but I think isn't there like a new version of this or something? Like, I don't necessarily need to have the physical copy of this, and you know, like, I don't know, I'm not into Xbox anyway, but between the two, this is the one I would keep. We played this like once, and you know, we got our yucks out of it, but this here is actually supposed to be a pretty good game, and having the physical version is kind of cool. But point is, you know, potentially getting rid of stuff like that. But a game like Kirby Superstar, I would definitely get a physical copy if it were cheap enough. Let's say like less than $50, you know, would be nice. I don't even know what it goes for anymore. But yeah, so this is a pretty solid Kirby game. I would say this is maybe the first or second best Kirby game. It really depends. I think in the last video I said that Kirby's Dream Land 2 was maybe better than Adventure. Which, I don't know, that could be true. But out of all of them, this has like the most content for a Kirby game. And there's like 4 different adventures or whatever. And basically, one of the notes I made, the only note I made really was the first thing, or like the first option, because there's like eight different things that you can do, and like 5 of them are just like different Kirby campaigns basically. So there's just like different little things that like unlock the next one. It's almost like campaigns. There's no other way to describe it. That's what they are. They're basically just like each a separate game. It's like, it's crazy. You know, each one takes like maybe an hour or something, but like some of them are pretty beefy. So, but my note was that the Spring Breeze, the first one, is basically just like a greatest hits version of the first Kirby's Dream Land. But what's cool about this game, Kirby Superstar, is not only can you, there's a buddy system in the sense that once you get an ability, you can make a copy of yourself. The copy or the buddy, in a sense, turns into the enemy version of, so whatever enemy had that power-up. So for instance, there's the bomb power-up, so Poppy Bros Jr., that's what I use like all the time in this game, was that. But that was one that, so he would turn into the little Poppy Bro and not like Kirby, like a copy of Kirby. But anyway, so you get this guy, and you kind of control him alongside controlling Kirby. You're controlling them at the same time by your button presses and stuff. It's a little awkward to do when you're trying to do puzzles and stuff, but the idea is that there is a co-op system in this game, so you can be playing this with another person, so they could be controlling that character rather than you controlling it solo. And there is a way to just do the game solo, even with the switches and all that. It's a lot harder to do, and I would never, but, yeah, so yeah, that's the added feature to the Kirby Dream Land there, but it is just essentially a remake of Kirby's Dream Land, with much better graphics. The graphics in this game, now, it's funny, because, like, most of the other games, the graphics were really impressive for their set of games and for their time and etc, but this isn't, like, necessarily a really impressive looking Super Nintendo game. I've, like, seen better, but, like, it does look really nice. Not to take away from that, it's just, like, maybe not on the height of, like, wow, this is really impressive for this console, but it still looks really, really good, and really colorful. You know, we're stepping up to the Super Nintendo, we've got 16 bits, it's a very 16-bit looking, and it looks like super good, for sure. And they use a lot of the good animation in the Mode 7 and whatnot to, like, really enhance the overall look, and the aesthetic of the areas is really nice and stands out a lot. We'll get into that in a minute here. But anyway, so this buddy system is pretty good, because you can essentially always have a shield, in a sense. Like, you know, you put them out in front so that they get hit with the attacks instead of you, as if the game wasn't, like, easy enough, like any Kirby games or whatever. But that, and I mean, it sometimes works, you still get hit a lot of the time anyway, but that, and the fact that you will always have double attacks. So the bomb weapon, as far as I can tell, is the most powerful attack, so I would just sit there and spam the bomb at some of the bosses, and it would take them out pretty easy. I wouldn't do that all the time, but, like, the RPG boss, there's, like, a boss where it's, like, it's, like, a little old-school Windows, like, looking thing, and then there's, like, the boss is on the thing, and then when he comes down, that's when you have to attack him, but it's got, like, a little thing that's, like, an HP meter, even though the meter at the bottom is just, like, you have, like, a boss meter down at the bottom anyway. But anyway, it, like, narrates the attacks and stuff, so it's kind of funny. That's, like, a cool little reference to RPGs and stuff there. I don't know why they did it in a Kirby game, but they did that, so that was kind of cool. Aside from there being a lot of new bosses in this game, like, a lot of new bosses, like, there are quite a few new bosses, which is nice, because the Kirby games just reuse the same boss over and over and over again. And this time you only fight King DDD once. He's, like, barely in the game. You fight him once, and that's it. And you can use your power-up, so it's a super easy fight. You don't have to sit there and tediously do all this bullshit, so it's not that bad. You do fight the tree, like, once as well in the Spring Breeze. That's it. You fight the Thundercloud guy, like, once, I think. Maybe you fight him a few times. I don't know. It's really not as bad as the other games, though. At least they would space it out, if so. I don't feel like they repeated a lot of bosses here. Not even a lot of the mini-bosses. Yeah, like, the mini-bosses and stuff were repeated, like, once, I think, each. Technically, like, more times if you want to count the arena thing. So once you get all these, like, 8 sections done, you do unlock this thing, the arena, which is basically just a boss rush or whatever. So I didn't see any point in doing that. I, like, looked through it on a YouTube video. I'm like, I've already fought these bosses, like, you know, a few times each, so nothing to gain there, nothing, like, there's no extra cutscene or whatever. You just Kirby with a champion belt and a fucking trophy, and I'm like, alright, I saw that. I don't need to do that on my game. I'm not gonna get 100% anyway. But, so, yeah. So, Spring Breeze. Then there's a Gourmet Race, which you probably know from the music, music track, Gourmet Race. This is not it. No, this is King DDD's theme. But anyway, you race King DDD through this level, or whatever. I tried that. I beat him on all of the stages. I didn't beat him all at once on all of the stages, but, like, did it separately, so I got the experience of that, you know, or whatever. So that's fine. You know, that's probably the least good of all of the things that you can do. There is... Let me pull it up here, actually. There is... I don't remember what the name of it is. That's why I'm going to try and look at that here. Alright, there's... Oh yeah, Dynablade, which is essentially just another Kirby campaign that you need to do Dynablade in order to unlock Revenge of the Meta Knight, and then you do all those along with the Great Cave Offensive, and you unlock Milky Way Wishes, which is the final area. There's also Megaton Punch, which is just like a mini game, so not a big deal there. So yeah, there's Dynablade, which is, like I said, just another Kirby campaign, and then you get this like bird guy at the end there, that like you fly into the Meta Knight one with. And so there's the Meta Knight one, which is, again, just another Kirby campaign, but they actually have time limits on all of the levels, so that's interesting. And then there's the Great Cave Offensive, which is more of an explorative, sort of like just one big level, essentially. So you just kind of go through it, and you're trying to find treasures, and the treasures, like, reflect, I don't know, your score at the end or whatever. You're trying to find as many as possible. And I found, like, a third of the treasures. Like, I didn't want to go, like, super... I thought I went pretty, like, hard on it and, like, found most of them. There are certain ones that I, like, could see, but I didn't know how to get to, or just, like, didn't want to spend the time figuring out. But it makes you think about your abilities and, like, how to get to stuff. So that's a pretty cool area. Definitely neat how it, like, loops back at the end, and then you just, like, leave the cave the same way you came in. So it's, like, one big area, it feels like. So that's neat. I like that one. But I think the coolest concept out of all of these, like, each of the separate campaigns are good, and they're, like, premium Kirby content. But Milky Way Wishes, I think, is maybe the best out of all of these, because there's a really, really cool concept to where you don't have your copy ability anymore. So throughout the game, of course, you have the copy ability, the famous copy ability, where you copy any enemy that you run across and their abilities. It's like, all right, that's another Kirby game. But the Milky Way Milky Way Wishes, there, you don't have the copy ability, and what you have to do is find these little statues that have the abilities throughout the levels, so it encourages this, like, great level of exploration and, like, trying to find all the secrets to find all the abilities. I didn't find them all, but, like, you know, I found a good number of them. And if you find some, it like gives you shortcuts, and, like, probably helps you find some other ones that I couldn't find because I didn't have, like, the fire one or whatever. Hey! Don't do that. So, the fire one, or whatever, don't do it. I'm watching you. Stop it! Get down here. Oh, gosh dang it, cat. That is what I was trying to prevent. Here, sit down, please. The fire one, which you kind of need to do these, like, cannonball things, and you've done them throughout the game or whatever. So, like, I didn't have the fire one, so I couldn't do those in the Milky Way Wishes section, but this would encourage greater replay value for that section, because, you know, then you can find all of the power-ups and, like, really go super hard at it. But the idea is, once you find the power-ups, you just have those. for the rest of the game. You can go through a menu and just select them at any time. And that's a really, really cool Kirby concept that I think is like, is great. I mean, they should just do a whole game based off of that. And hopefully one of the next few games is like that, where you just kind of have the abilities the whole time. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't just try that. I know that's a little overpowered, but just, like, work your game design around that, because having all the abilities makes it feel more like something like Zelda or something, and that's a really cool concept. Or just a section, or maybe like a replay, like a new game plus, where you just have all the abilities right off the gate. That's a great completion bonus. Just like a, you know, you complete the game and you get this as a bonus. Like, it encourages replayability, and you could do so many things with that the second time around. Even if you're just broken on your second playthrough, that should always be a completion bonus in every Kirby game. I like it. That's a new concept. I think they should just do that. You just have all the abilities. You know, if you want to have them, it's an option. It's a new game plus, like I said. If you want that, let you just start a new game. But I think that's really cool, and I think that's a super awesome concept there. And especially, there's like 7 or 8 levels of that, and then you get to the end of that, and then there's like a shooter section, you know, classic Kirby shooter section, but you're like actually really small this time, so it feels like it's definitely like a side-scrolling shooter or something like Gradius or something. So that's cool, man. Like, definitely neato, like side-scrolling shooter stuff. And you fight Marks, I think, for the first time. I don't remember this guy being in any of the other Kirby games. I knew him from the Super Smash Brothers games, though, because you fight him in Brawl, I think, and then the later games. You fight him in Brawl? I don't remember if you fight him in Brawl. Maybe it was like the later games where you fight him, like an Ultimate or something. I don't know if that's true or not. I think you fight him in Brawl, like, at least. Pretty sure. So, because that's the Smash Brothers game I put the most time into. But anyway, I knew this guy from the other stuff, and I'm just like, huh, this is like a Kirby enemy, huh? And then, because I'd never played any of these games. Now I'm just playing them for the first time, finally. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so he's in there. You fight him at the end of that. And then that's it, pretty much. You know, you do all of those different things. So it's a really short game. It's like 5 hours to, like, beat all of the sections or whatever. But it's like, it's a really fun game. And there's a lot to sink your teeth into. And especially if you want to completion bonus it or whatever. It shouldn't be that hard. But it's like, there's a lot to explore and find all the little secrets and whatnot. So I like that. Other than that, man, it's like still just a Kirby game, you know? Like, the gameplay's really solid. You got your floating and your all your abilities, the same abilities you mostly had. They had, like, pretty much all the same abilities, you know, the sword one and the cutter ability and the fire, ice, all that stuff. All the best abilities, the tire ability. Basically just, they've refined it down to, like, the best abilities. And I don't really know if they added any, that much. I think it was mostly the same stuff. But having them all there in the Milky Way wishes was pretty cool. So I like that a lot. But yeah, so the abilities are still there. That's great. And the copy system is still there in the other sections that aren't the Milky Way wishes. The graphics are still really good, along with the animation. The characters are still cute and vibrant, and some of them are really cool looking, and they always have a good art design on all the Kirby games there. Very good. Gotta love the enemies and their design, so that's cool. Yeah, graphically it looks real nice. Music is still fantastic, as always. Maybe, I know I probably say it every time, maybe the best Kirby soundtrack, because they have a lot of the older songs, and it just feels like a celebration of Kirby to this point. 'Cause, like, shit, how many games were there for Kirby to this point? There was like 4, 5, 6. I don't know, counting the spin-offs, it's probably like 7 or 8. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Kirby was like fucking like blowing up at the time. Like, holy shit. So yeah, but definitely a great soundtrack as well. Nice to hear a lot of these like 16-bit renditions of the classic Kirby songs there. Just sounds really nice overall, and all the new songs are great too. This is just like the iconic Kirby game. I think like this is most people's favorite Kirby game, and I'm not gonna argue that. I think that's pretty fair. This could be definitely on top. I still think just for the sheerly the nostalgic value of it, Kirby Adventure is always gonna be probably my favorite Kirby game. But like, there's definitely an argument to be made that this is a much better Kirby game. And the variety of it makes it a lot better too. You can maybe just play whichever section you really want to play instead of having to go through all of the parts to get to the part. Maybe you just wanted to play one certain level or whatever. I mean, you can just kind of do that if you've beaten Kirby too. You can just go back to that level. So that's kind of nice. But I don't know. So yeah, like definitely one of the best Kirby games for sure. And there's not much else to say about it. That's about the extent of it. You know, at this point, these Kirby reviews are just gonna be like, what did they change? Okay, here you go, and everything's the same because it's Kirby. You know, like that's about it. This is why I should review some of the Kirby spin-off games because they'd be very different and be like, or at least different enough. Like, you know, they tend to change up how they're played and whatnot. So. But yeah, it's a great Kirby game, probably the best Kirby game. I'm gonna give it an 8.7 out of 10. Because it's really good. I think I gave one of the other ones a 9 out of 10, didn't I? So like, it doesn't necessarily reflect. I don't know. Like, can I give it? I could probably give it a 9. I don't know. I think 9's fair. 8.8. We're giving it 8.8. There you go. But yeah, it's a good one. It's a pretty great Kirby game, and I really enjoyed it. So gets my seal of approval. That's not a thing, so whatever. I don't know. Anyway, until next time, this has been JZNES. Hey, keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ out.